Okay. This is for Al-Fadi. How can we best foster good Christian-Muslim relations in our communities? Do you think it's possible to do a service project with Muslims, for example, for the common good of the community?
Well, absolutely. Like I said, you ought to know who are the Muslims in your area. And by building relationship, by going to them, whether it's a mosque, whether it's a restaurant, whether it's an apartment complex, and just begin to find out about some needs and just offer how you can help. And believe me, if you just say that word, they'll give you a list long of things that they need. So absolutely. And we can always utilize this as a mean to bring other Christians. You know, if they need help with a shuttle to take them from one place to another, if they need help with attorneys, if they need help with translators, I mean, that's a door that will bring a lot of people to be involved in.
Okay. And did you speak to the thing of like actually doing service not only to Muslims, but with Muslims?
Well, I mean, you want to do it with Muslims like... I mean, I can't think of a specific example if you're talking about a service, but maybe just the idea of working with them to help others.
Yes.
So if you trained one of them, for instance, in English and things like that, you can begin to work with that person to see how you can help the others in their community, and I'm sure they will appreciate that as well.
Good. So we'll speak to that in just a moment. Let me ask this one. Could you speak to the quote-unquote strategy of witnessing to Muslims individually versus among family members or friends? It seems like more alienation is likely when we witness to individuals in isolation from their family and friends. So this is...
That's to me?
It's to anybody.
Okay. Paul?
You know, we're from a hyper-individualistic society, and we think about doing, witnessing one-on-one. Well, whenever we've gone into Muslim communities and done witnessing, the word gets out, and pretty soon the imam is telling the community in the Friday prayer service, watch out for Dave Kimball and Paul Martindale, because they're just trying to convert, our sons and daughters. And what they see us attempting to do is, in a sense, stealing their sons and daughters away from the community. And so a much better way of engaging is a community-to-community type of witness. And what we've been trying to do, both Dave and I and others in the area, is mobilize churches to meet with mosques or other Muslim groups and get whole communities getting to know and forming relationships with, them on that community-to-community level. Then, of course, individuals will start to connect, go have coffee, witness, and somebody here and there may come to Christ. But at least it was done, in a sense, in a community-to-community model of witnessing. So whenever you're starting a new work, I think it's best to go meet the leaders of the community. So, for instance, I know a lot of imams in the area. And when I bring students or people from churches, to a mosque visit, the leaders come up to me and greet me and welcome me, and they know what I'm doing, and we sometimes do things together with them. And there's a relationship of trust. And certainly it's much better to have a witness, with an individual in their home and allow the mother, the father, the brothers, the sisters to overhear it. And, they're all very curious. Use Muslims' curiosity because if you meet them in your home or in the cafe, then it's only one person hearing your witness. Do it in their home, and everybody's kind of listening in and wondering what you're saying and what you're doing, and then you have a chance, in a sense, to disciple the whole family at the same time.
Great. Let me just throw out another question. I feel alone in my ministry to Muslims. How can I connect with others and get my fellow believers to join me in loving Muslims? So a worker that's active but feels alone. Any suggestions in the room?
Let me just say something
Yeah.
on that. I think this is one of the places where we get connected with each other and sharing ministry together. My whole idea about church, even though today we have different, you have Lutherans, you have Baptists, you have all these different churches, but the priority goal for the church is Christ, to present Christ to those who are not saved, to know Christ. That's our priority. So networking with other churches, like what's happening here now, is very, very much good for us. You can connect right from here. How I got to know you, we met at Ethnic America Network. Last year they invited me to speak there, to teach on Islam. And I got to know so many people. I got to know that there are a lot of people who have the interest in reaching to Muslims. Now we communicate, we work together, we dialogue. I think that's how it works. Like from here, organizing this kind of meeting is good for pastors to connect with each other.
Good. And in the last section, when we take the last 15 or 20 minutes, we're going to give you, I think what we share in those will answer this question more explicitly as well. So for Al and for Pastor Kamara, one of the questions is, what was your father's response to you coming to Christ?
For me, when I became Christian, my father was already dead, but my mother was alive. My uncle was the most influential person in my life. And in fact, he studied in Kuwait, in Egypt, and went by with these organizations to raise young people and send them to Arab world to study and come back. That was his major work that he was doing. So he was very influential in my life. To leave Kuwait to go back to Liberia was the most difficult time in my life. It was really a crisis within myself, to go or not to go. But I don't want to stay in Kuwait also that I may be, I may get caught because I'm in the Islamic school. If they see me with the Bible, like the small Bible I have, I kept that Bible until the war in Liberia. I lost it. Every time I have to change my trousers, I make sure I don't leave it in somebody else to see it, that I have a Bible. So to go back to Liberia was the most difficult thing for me. But I finally decided. So before I went to Liberia, I found out seminaries, Bible colleges that are accepting students in the dorm to stay on campus. So there was a missionary in Liberia, and I met her daughter in Kuwait at the church. Her husband was teaching at Kuwait University. And so she gave me the address of her mother, and so the mother found a school for me already before I left. I get to Liberia on Thursday, and Saturday I took the entrance for the school. Tuesday I was on campus because I was trying to but I was never accepted by my family. In fact, they told my mother that I was dead because she was living in a village, that I was dead. It was something that my uncle, when he sees me, it's like you see real enemy. Sometimes I used to come to the house when he comes from work and he see me sitting on his porch. He would start talking from the road. I told you not to come to this house. Don't blame me if something happened to you. And many times they threaten my wife and so many things. It's never a good thing when you become a Christian that you're going to be easy with your family. No. I really have trouble. I was bound never to enter my hometown. I never entered there until the end of the war because I couldn't go there. If I have went there, it wouldn't be a problem. But that changed today. It changed today because of my work, because of loving them. Let me just share this before. My mother was the one that really I was concerned with because I was the only son she has, and I couldn't see her. But what I did when I was in Monrovia, I would go to the parking stations. I see some car, somebody going to our village. My wife and I would buy clothes, put money in the envelope, and send for her. And they send it to her. So she was receiving these good things, your son sent for you this. So she told the people, my son is there. I want to go see my son. And so she left from the village. I didn't know she got on the car. She was old and came to Monrovia. I was at fellowship office and I went home. They said, "Oh, your mother is here." I said, "What? My mother comes?" And I met her. She spent 1 year with us. Not a day I told her, say, change your religion. When she came, I met her. The next day I went, I bought her praying mat for her to pray. I said, "You can do your prayer." Everything. She stayed there. After 1 week, and she starts to say, "Oh, please pray for me because we have devotion in the morning before the children go to school." Sunday morning, she will say, "Oh, you people are getting late for church." And I was not just saying anything. So sometimes she would come to ask questions and we'll sit down together, open the Quran, talks about it, because she doesn't know anything in the Quran. All she knows is to memorize the verses and recite for prayer. That's all she knew. She didn't know the meaning. But we sit together, discuss it, and talks about it. She spent 1 year. When she was leaving, I took her to the parking station to get put on a car to go home. She said, "My son, they told me that you're not worshiping God. But today, I know that you're worshiping the real, true God."
Thank you. Thank you. Al, just a moment, and then we want to shift.
Sure. My father also passed away before I became a believer. And when I accepted Christ, I went actually to Saudi the first time, but
Not going to get to
you can say I chickened out. I didn't want to tell him. I was afraid of what might happen. I thought maybe if I come back and I gather my thoughts and be able to do it. But then a couple of years passed, and a friend of mine who has a TV show, he's a former Muslim from Morocco, gave me this brilliant idea. What if you appear on TV and share your testimony, and now 60 million Muslims will watch it? So we thought that was brilliant, and we did it, and my family watched, of course, and all hell broke loose, and my brother has been after me ever since. So just prayer for them. Unfortunately, they haven't changed their stance. The same thing happened when my mother-in-law came to visit. I told my wife I am not going to hide my faith from her. She said I might, take it easy. So after 1 week of staying at our house, Muslims pray before meal. They say Bismillah. I would make a sermon before I pray. Before we eat. And then after a week, she asked my wife, "Why does he pray this way? I thought Saudis don't pray that way." So I said, "Good question." I shared my testimony with her. And after I finished, my wife says, "Oh, let me tell you, I'm too a follower of Christ." I thought the woman gonna get a heart attack at that moment. But a year and a half passed, and it's the lifestyle of believers, prayers, and the consistency of the message that she heard brought her to Christ. And she is a follower of Christ now, and she got baptized right here in Boston 3 years ago. Yeah. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Where did she get baptized?
Where?
Yeah.
At the Arabic Church.
Arabic Evangelical Church. In case you don't know,
Yeah.
we have a few Arabic churches here in the Boston area.